Charlie Kirk is the founder and president of Turning Point USA, a national student movement dedicated to identifying, organizing, and empowering young people to promote the principles of free markets and limited government. With a presence on over, 3,500 high school and college campuses nationwide, 250,000 student members, and 450 full and part-time staff all across the country, Turning Point USA is the largest and fastest growing conservative youth activist organization in the country. And Charlie's quickly emerged as one of the strongest voices in conservatism. He's outspoken regarding his faith. He's got best-selling books, radio, media appearances, brilliant strategist, great communicator, and a powerful individual. Charlie, welcome to the Economic War Room.
God bless you. I'm a big fan. I have been for a while, and great to be here.
You know, we use a good, bad, beautiful approach, or bad, good, beautiful. We talk about the problem, then we talk about solutions, and then we talk about what it will look like if we get the good implemented. It's the opposite of Clint Eastwood.
I like that.
All right, so we're in the midst of what seems like a life or death struggle, an existential struggle for liberty. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And we have to define what liberty is. Liberty is God's idea, not man's idea. And liberty is the ability to do what one ought to do, not just the freedom to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. And liberty in its core is given by your Creator. Our founding fathers understood that, which is why our declaration and our charter as a country, our birth certificate, is so unique. The question in front of us right now is whether or not the founding fathers were right. And famously they said that the Constitution is written wholly for a moral and religious people and is wholly inadequate for the people of any other. Wow. Were they right?
No, I think they were. I mean, we hit 250 years.
I agree, but we're no longer moral or religious. So therefore, is the Constitution applicable?
Well, we got to get moral and religious. Don't talk about the Constitution.
No, I'm not suggesting that. It's a very provocative question, isn't it? Because I believe the founding fathers were right. But the point is that you cannot have liberty if you don't have a religious people. And therefore, as America becomes less religious and becomes less moral, then you're going to see the disappearance of liberty. And then the disappearance of the pursuit of virtue, the pursuit of duty, of what people ought to do. And so we're living through that right now, and it's a very big problem.
It is a big problem. It is a problem, though, that's not uncommon to great societies. Arnold Toynbee said great civilizations are not murdered, they take their own lives.
Yeah, that's right.
It appears like we're doing that. Lincoln said if we're going to lose our liberty, it would be by suicide. Yeah. And unfortunately, it seems like one of the two political parties is the party of assisted suicide, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's the Democrat Party. Well, so the Democrat Party is the party of slitting the throat of Lady Liberty. And that is the question. Will America want to continue to survive? But this is why they had to lay the seeds for so long that America is systemically racist, America is terrible, America is this awful country. Because if America is all these things, then why wouldn't you kill that? I mean, obviously, you get rid of a tumor if you have it. You go to chemotherapy if you have cancer. So if America is all these evil, irreparable things, then of course you would do that. And so this is a battle for what we fundamentally are as a nation, who we are, what we believe. I'm doing this on campuses, we're doing this in the churches. It is a spiritual war at its core, but liberty will no longer be a value that people demand if they no longer acknowledge where liberty comes from, which is a sovereign creator. You know, we look to the scriptures, you have to ask the question, do people want to be free? And the answer is no. They want to be taken care of. They must be taught to be free.
That sounds like Loki at the Avengers movie, where if people want to be ruled, they don't want to be free.
And it's true. You think about it, God's chosen people were delivered from Egypt through amazing miracles, and Moses, leads them out, parting of the Red Sea. They've seen everything. Within a couple chapters in the book of Numbers, they're saying, bring us back to Egypt. We want meat. We ate better. And we want to go back to slavery, go back to death, go back to terrible, because we were comfortable. And that is the struggle in front of us right now in our country.
But if you follow that pattern throughout history, those societies always fail. They always end up in an animal farm where the pigs run everything and they live extraordinarily well. It never works out. But America, which took the liberty approach, brought prosperity and success to the entire world from that small band of people.
I agree. And the question is, can we get enough citizens to want to go back to freedom? And look, we must be very clear. When you have liberty, there's no guarantee you're going to achieve the success you want to. You're going to have the ability to, you'll have the agency to, you'll surprise yourself, you'll be able to maybe even succeed even greater, but the guarantee is what you're not going to have. And look, you'll have your fellow neighbor to rely upon, maybe a social safety net, but Americans say, I want to be taken care of. Give me free stuff that I haven't earned. And I think that's very, very damaging. And so this is the struggle in front of us is, are we going to be a nation or a civilization that prioritizes self-government, self-sovereignty above this ever-growing Leviathan that we see in Washington, D.C.?
Well, you know, in your book, Right-Wing Revolution, you talk about woke. And what role does woke play in this? It's just a mindset, right?
Yeah, woke is, the best way that we could define woke is call something unjust or call something racist until you control it. So it's a two-step move. So you say that, you know, this company is racist, and give me the keys so I can run the company. So it is a means to power. And at the fundamental core, what drives the American left, what drives Marxists, what is Marxism, is my boot on your neck. I'm in charge, you are not. They do not believe in truth, they don't believe in beauty, they don't believe in goodness, they don't believe in righteousness, they don't believe in any of those things. All they believe is a power struggle. They say the only thing that can be true is that I'm in charge and you are not.
That's the 45 goals of the Communist Party.
No, that's
USA.
exactly right. And that is the core of postmodernism.
Well, it is also Animal Farm, whereas the pigs just said, the farmer's treating you poorly, the farmer's treating you poorly, the farmer's treating you poorly, until they could be in charge and treat them poorly.
That's exactly right. And so how do we resist that? I'm sure we'll get into that. But the struggle in front of us right now, and it's a very serious one, is that the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world, most generous nation, most prosperous nation, will decide to no longer be that. It's going to perplex historians if we go down this road. Hundreds of years from now, historians are going to say, why is it that a country that was so great and so powerful decided to take its own life?
Yeah, well, that's what Toynbee said. That's what Lincoln said. That's what the Tytler cycle is all about, where you go in from bondage to crying out to God, then you go into receiving God, then you get liberty, then you get success, and then you go back into bondage. It's the same cycle that other great nations have gone through. Also with that, though, has been the debasing of the coinage. And every great society has debased their coinage as a part of that. I want free stuff, so how do we do it? We'll print more money.
Yeah, no, we are following to a T every single hallmark characteristic of how a nation decides to no longer exist. Mass migration and open borders, decline of virtue and moral standards, an obliteration of the family or the nuclear family unit, hyper-centralization of government power, adventurous, unnecessary foreign wars, and debasing of the currency. Rome followed the same pattern, British Empire, similar pattern. We are doing that to a T, and we're also ignoring the concerns of the domestic citizen and prioritizing the foreigner.
Well, the funny thing is, Igor Panarin, writing in the Wall Street Journal in 2008, a friend of Vladimir Putin, a KGB buddy of Putin's, he wrote that exactly. He said, America will literally disintegrate because of mass immigration, moral degradation, and a failed currency.
Amen.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk solutions.
Great.
In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Charlie, you've written an important book. It's titled Right-Wing
Yes.
Revolution, How to Beat the Woke and Save the West. It tackles wokeism, and you detail 3 important steps. Change your attitude, change the country, change yourself.
Yes.
Can you describe what's our path out?
Yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, you must have a revolution in yourself. You must prioritize the beautiful things and the good things and the deep things, and no longer look for somebody just to save you. And that's part of what changing your attitude is. What is the attitude that you have? And the left wants you to have an attitude of defeatist, of cynicism, of nihilism. We, in the book, Right-Wing Revolution, we argue that you need to have an attitude that we can save this country, that you can improve your life, that if you don't feel as if you're well-informed enough, read more books, get into physical shape, start eating healthier. All these things are necessary to first change your attitude. The left largely is able to get power because of the power we give them. So, for example, so many people are afraid to speak the truth because they're afraid to be called a racist.
Or canceled.
Or be canceled. Well, stop giving them that power. So what does being canceled mean? You might lose your job, find another one. So what? Find another one. People say, well, that's hard. America was not built on that kind of surrender spirit. So you're going to not speak your mind because you're afraid that somebody might call you a bad name? Yes. Basically, the left...
So, I mean, you say we can say that a girl is a girl and a boy is a boy?
Exactly.
And be biologically, scientifically correct and not get hammered for it?
Precisely. And what we see every single day is people that are willing to shut up themselves, to shut up what they know is true, because they're afraid of some sort of name that they're going to be called. They have a spell that they've cast on the nation. Ooh, you're a racist, so you can't oppose mass migration. You have to resist that, change the attitude, say, I don't care. I'm going to elevate what matters above what doesn't matter.
Oh, all right. Change your attitude. Don't let them cancel you. What else? What else should we be doing?
Well, also changing your attitude is stop being so negative. I find some people on the right feel as if that the inevitable doom cycle of America is unstoppable. I want to be very clear. What we just articulated in the previous conversation is not a death sentence. America is a unique country. It's a bigger country. We have a lot of fight left. We are not surrendering. Look what you're doing, what Turning Point's doing. There's a lot of people out there that still want their country back. And so it's not as if the majority of the country wants to commit suicide. It's that we have an oligarchy that is convincing enough people here or there to do that. And that's a very important point. We also talk about in the book, the form and the structure of government that we're living through is definitionally wrong. We think we're in a democracy. We're actually in a constitutional republic. But in practice, we're in an oligarchy. We are in an oligarchy where it's a small group of unelected people that call the shots.
Well, no, that can't be true. I mean, look, 15 million people voted for President Biden. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So Kamala Harris is the presidential nominee with no one voting for her.
All right, that's unbelievable.
This is an oligarchy. This is not the form of government that we think we have. We send hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, yet the people don't want it.
No.
10 million people across the southern border, the people don't want it. So when oligarchy doesn't listen to the masses, they do what's best for them. So there are 10 or 12 families that call the shots of this country, the Schumers, the Pelosi's, the Obamas, the Soroses, the McKenzie, Bezoses, the Laureen Powell Jobs, and the rest are just Russian serfs. You'll own nothing, and we will dominate the country. Donald Trump represents a once-in-a-generation revolution against the American oligarchy in both parties.
What kind of individual would give up the wealth, the luxury, everything that he's got in order to serve the country, get shot, literally,
Exactly.
And then they covered it up? It's unbelievable.
It really is. And so the way you defeat an oligarchy is with the people. And understand that every oligarchy has in common that there are more slaves than masters. We outnumber them. That is why Donald Trump is winning the forgotten men and women of this country. He's winning the middle parts of the country. He's winning the people that have built this country and have done such a significant contribution to it. So, look, this is going back to the fundamental roots. We talk about this in the book, Right-Wing Revolution, is what type of system do we live under? Is it one that respects the consent of the governed, checks and balances, separation of powers, or one that increasingly is hostile towards the American people?
Well, it's hostile, and they're hostile toward the Supreme Court. If they don't rule exactly my way, we'll replace you, or we'll pack the court with more people. Well, they're packing the country with more people right now because you're right. The majority of the people in America do side with Donald Trump, so the solution to that is to import more people.
That's right. And it is the great replacement theory. They want to make America less white and less Christian. And therefore, they're trying to bring in the third world to try to dilute the voting share of the voters that they don't like.
They're not hiding that anymore.
No, it's the old adage by Michael Anton, who's amazing. I don't know if you know Michael Anton or not. I'll connect you with him. He's a phenomenal thinker from Hillsdale College, Claremont Institute, and he has this great piece where where he says, it's not happening, but it's good that it is. And that is the phrase of the left. Think about it. Oh, migrants aren't coming across the border in millions in numbers, but it's good that it is. So they tell you it's not happening, but it's actually good that it is. Yeah. And it's called a parallax. And it throws you off. Like, for example, they're not eating cats in Springfield, Ohio, but it's good that they are because it's Haitian culture. Yeah. But how much more of this are we going to take? Mass migration is a symptom of us being afraid of being called a racist. We are allowing the third world to come in and loot and to ransack our country and to rape our women and do the most terrible things because Americans are afraid of being called names.
It's not just Americans, though. It's in France, it's in UK, it's in Germany.
But that's the point, is that they're self-hating people. Canada is a self-hating people. France and the UK, we should not be a self-hating people. We should be we should be a clear-thinking people that don't want to be overrun by the third world.
Well, you've got an important quote in your book from Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Yes, Gulag Archipelago.
Yeah, he gave this speech in 1983, Templeton Prize.
Oh, that's a different one. Okay, yeah.
I worked for John Templeton,
okay.
and I attended Templeton Prize presentations. Men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened.
That's correct. Yeah, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that as the West becomes more secular and it no longer has a belief in an all-knowing personal God, a God that cares about you and knows the hairs on your head and the steps that you will take, a God that is nurturing and is there for you, but instead has a belief that you could do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, we now have these counterfeit religions that have filled the void. The cult of anti-racism. We have the religion of transgenderism, the religion of scientism, the religion of earth worship. And America's in a far worse spot because of it.
Now, what does remembering God do for us?
Remembering God?
Yeah.
Well, it's very interesting. In the Old Testament scriptures, it says repeatedly, remember, remember, I am the Lord your God. In fact, in Exodus 20, before the 10 Commandments, the first statement is, remember, I am the Lord your God who delivered you out of the house of bondage of Egypt. Before he even gets into the 10 Commandments, it starts with, because the memory of God and his promises and his connection with us, it changes your behavior. So for example, I know we're running out of time here. Imagine if the 10 Commandments were just Moses' 10 suggestions for life. Like kind of a Tony Robbins, I love Tony Robbins, but like but if it comes from God, you treat them differently.
You do.
If it comes from an all-knowing, omniscient, all-powerful being, well then all of a sudden there's a holiness to it. Every person that loves liberty has two things in common. They know that there is a God and we are not him. Every person who hates liberty does not believe either of those things.
Wow. We need to take a break. When we come back, let's talk more about remembering God and the beautiful America we can create.
Amen.
Somewhere a perversion has taken place. Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government, and freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It has to be fought for and defended by each generation.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
In this most critical time in our nation's history, now more than ever, Americans need to align with companies that support our constitutional rights and God-given freedoms. Patriot Mobile supports your values and provides exceptional 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join the movement today. Go to patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
Here's a $10 bill. It's got the picture of Alexander Hamilton on the front of it. You know, it's kind of sad. When I was 10 years old, everything that I could buy for $1 now costs about $10. That's the cost of inflation. It's just paper. It's not backed by anything. You can't exchange it for gold and silver. You used to, but you can't do that anymore. And that's unfortunate. You know, pirates wouldn't accept this. Pirates, they wanted gold and silver. Patriots, the founders of this nation, also wanted gold and silver coin. In fact, they put a provision in the Constitution, 17 words, that said states could only make gold and silver coins tender within the states. That's why I wrote this new book, Pirate Money, Discovering the Founders' Hidden Plan for Economic Justice and Defeating the Great Reset. It will explain exactly the history of money and exactly why gold and silver coins can be made modern with new technology and a useful monetary system. PirateMoneyBook.com. So Charlie,
Yes.
let's have a right-wing revolution.
We need it.
What would America look like?
Church attendance would go up. Family formation would continue. Young people would get married at younger ages. The fertility rate would be reversed. We would have less looting, less murder, less stealing. And I tell people, let's look at the 10 Commandments. Let's take the top, the five on
first
one
five,
side.
okay.
Again, I'm a big, the second five. The first five I'm a big fan of. No gods before me, no idols, don't take the Lord's name in vain, honor the Sabbath, honor your mother and father. Okay, that's the first five. The second five, okay, I'm gonna get the order mixed up, but we'll get to the five. Do not murder, do not steal, don't bear false witness, don't commit adultery, do not covet. Those five. A right-wing revolution would be honoring those five things. We'd have less looting and less stealing. For example, if we had a right-wing revolution in this country, if you stole a toothbrush in a Walgreens in San Francisco, you're going to be prosecuted. No $900 threshold. We're not going to have illegals in our country overrunning our streets. And we'll have a return of virtue in this country.
Now, that's not happening, but it's good that it is.
Exactly. No, I debate these libs, and they say, "Oh, it's not happening that they're stealing toothbrushes, but it's good that it is because they need it." I said, well, which one is it exactly? But no, a right-wing revolution, the beautiful thing would be an elevation. Hopefully would be a religious revival, would be a spiritual revival, would see people putting what matters first and understanding it at a core and fundamental level. And then finally, we would hopefully be able to balance our federal budget, have sound currency, a booming economy. But here's the thing, Kevin. Everything I just talked about is a choice. We could do this. We're the strongest country ever. We are choosing not to do those things. We're choosing to go in a direction. Why? I think it's spiritual. I think that our eyes are being blinded right now by a terrible, terrible force. We can choose to be great again. We can choose to be rich again. We can choose to send our kids back to church. We can choose to get married at a younger age. The beautiful is not an abstract. The beautiful is a choice in front of us.
Well, what's it going to take to get people to say, I want that, I need that?
Well, I think we have to hit rock bottom in some ways, and I think we already have.
We are.
Yeah. The lesson of the 20th century is that if you think things are bad, it can get a lot worse. So we need Donald Trump to win. Here, Brett Weinstein, who I love, I don't know if you know who he is or not. He's an evolutionary biologist, an atheist, and a liberal, but a very, very smart, decent man. And he said it best. He said, if we don't defeat Team Blue, none of this other stuff matters. So there's a looming war in front of us of this invading, occupying force of the blue zealots. That's who they are, Team Blue. And they control everything. So before we're able to do the other sequences, B, C, D, and E, we must defeat them. We must get Donald Trump elected in November. We must offer a humiliating blow to the people that want to trans our kids and groom our children and have post-birth abortion and open our borders and fund the Ukraine war and debase our currency. These are bad people. After that, once Donald Trump is president, it buys us some time. That's not going to save the country. It'll buy us some time. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you're traveling across the country. You're meeting with young people. You're meeting with people of all ages. Do you really think there is a chance?
Yes.
You think
that Donald Trump wins?
That Donald Trump wins,
of course, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Enough to beat whatever shenanigans there are in the election?
There's always a chance. I'll tell you just on the college campus stuff. I've been doing this for 12 years. I show up on a college campus now. It used to be 3 or 4 kids come and ask questions. There are thousands of kids there. I'm talking about from Boulder to UW-Madison to University of North Texas. I mean, we're talking about crowds which I've never seen before. And we give out these MAGA hats. We run out of them in like 5 minutes. Kids on college campuses wanted MAGA hats.
Wow.
No, and so it's very interesting that I think younger people reject the premise of an American suicide. I think they say, why would we want to kill this country? I'm 18, I want a future.
Right.
Boomers are fine with American suicide, right? Perfectly, many of them, right? I get so much hate mail when I say this, but it's true. They have authored, perfected, and overseen a slow motion American suicide for 40 years. So why would they stop, right? Young people say, no, I don't own a home. I'm not yet married. Everything's unaffordable. I don't want to go get drafted in World War III. I reject the premise, and that is our message.
But the answer, Kamala said it in the debate. She said, we're going to give everybody $50,000 for this and $20,000 for this.
Yeah, and nothing will get more expensive.
You know, I actually tweeted a response to that, and I said, and where's the money come from? And they said, we'll tax the billionaires. Yes. So my response to that is, the total billionaire tax wealth will, if you took 25% of it, you pay for about a half a year of interest on our debt.
That's right.
You could take 25% for the next 4 years, you take 100%, and you barely cover the interest.
No, that's right. But because that's why, look, socialism or Marxism, it's not about helping the poor, it's about hating the rich. It's about class envy. You have something that I don't, and I want to take it from you. Because at the core of socialism, Marxism, leftism, nihilism, postmodernism, and the Democrat Party are people that are unsatisfied with their life. They're not full of gratitude. These are discontents. These are people that are not content with their current status, and they want to have power to be able to take from people that they think are better off or happier or more wealthy than they are.
Well, until they succeed, and then they're going to hate it.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't read that part of the book, right?
No, that's exactly right. So what should we be doing? What are the things that Americans can do right now that will make a difference to have a brighter future?
We need to win this election, so you can get involved at tpaction.com/100. We have the largest ever early vote, get out the vote, ballot chasing operation in American history. In Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, those are the states that we're focused on. We need to flood the zone with people that are going to knock on every door and get people to vote early, especially the low propensity voters, the people that don't traditionally vote. I'm talking about people that didn't vote in 2020, the plumbers, electricians, the welders, the people that are lower propensity. And then we have to do our work. We have to get into the streets. We have to advocate. If you're a parent, homeschool your kids. Don't send them to government schools. If you go to a church, challenge your pastor to give a biblical sermon about the election. Silence is complicit.
Yeah, silence is consent.
That's right. That's what I meant.
says
You're
that.
exactly right. Silence is consent. If you are silent in the face of this Team Blue, nihilistic, demonic agenda, you are co-signing off your consent as a pastor to what you are seeing. There's so much that can do, but you have to be an activist in everything that you do. And that's why we have Turning Point USA. The youth of this country want a better nation. We're seeing it happen. And I pray that it will manifest in a major victory in November.
Well, we've been working with Paul Blair, a mutual friend at
Terrific
Liberty
man.
Pastors.
Great
I
guy.
speak at every Liberty Pastors event they have. We support Steve Maxwell, Citizens Defending Freedom. And, we're out there trying to make a difference. Our audience believes everything that you said. But I want to encourage them. I want to look at you and encourage you. They're going to have a conference coming up December 19th through 22nd is it Phoenix again?
Phoenix, yeah.
I went last year.
Hopefully we'll be celebrating.
We will, regardless, we will be celebrating liberty and the importance of liberty. At amfest.com, you can learn more about it. And Patriot Mobile, I know Glenn Story says, what do you think about Patriot Mobile?
Promo code Charlie, okay,
no, you
everybody?
can't use that on our show. It's got to be EWR.
Here's the pitch. All of you guys have phones, so you can either write a check to the trannies and to BLM, or you can write a check to Patriot Mobile. It's no new money, so make the switch today. Just make the switch. Think about it. Most people are trying to sell you something new. That's not what Patriot Mobile is. It's just transitioning in a good way from one area to the other.
And they're great people.
They're phenomenal.
They're great
Glenn
people.
Story, great guy.
Yeah, he is. And anyway.
Whatever promo code you want to use.
Yeah, use the EWR as your promo code.
That's too complicated. Charlie.
Right-Wing Revolution. Get this book and read it. It's powerful.
You're
Plan
a
on
great
going
man.
to AmFest in Phoenix, December 19th through 22nd. Charlie, thank you so much for being
God
part of
bless
the
you.
Economic War Room. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.